Hey, tarot fans, welcome to Timeless Tarot. I'm Cindy, and this is a general reading for air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius for the month of January 2026. Again, that's air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising for January 2026. There is descriptions in the description box below. There are timestamps, so you can switch ahead. You don't have to listen to the whole video if you don't want to. And also, before I get started, please like, share, and subscribe if this is the kind of content you want to keep receiving or want to see more of. One more thing. Oh, yes, it is a general reading, so if it doesn't resonate, please do not try to make it fit. Just take what resonates and leave the rest behind. You also feel free, if you don't find yourself in this reading, you may find yourself in one of my other readings. So if you want to take a look at it, you certainly can. So without further ado, let's start up with Gemini. Gemini, what's coming up for you in January 2026? Happy New Year, everybody. Let's see. I'm going to pull 3 cards for recent energies. This will be the energies from an event or events, an event or events from your past that may have actually taken place a long time ago, may have just happened yesterday, but either way, the energy is still in your energy field, whether the event was yesterday or yesteryear or 10 years before that. 3 cards for your current energies, what you have on the table right now at the forefront of your field, and also 3 cards for incoming energies to close out the month of January 2026. So, Gemini, what do we got? 3 cards for recent past. Gemini, you're going to get the Ace of Pentacles. Very interesting. Ace of Pentacles in the upright, the 4 of Cups in the reverse, and the 10 of Cups in the reverse. That's for your recent past. In the current energies, you get the 9 of Cups upright, the 8 of Swords upright, and the 7 of Cups upright. And in incoming energies, you get the 4 of Wands in the reverse, the 10 of Swords in the reverse. Ooh, and you're going to close out with the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. A lot of reversals here. Looks like half, and not in the main spread. This is all just day-to-day activities with a lot of introspection. I'm getting that feel right off the hop for you, my dear Geminis. Let's look in your conscious energies. This is you, how you show up in the light and the things that you are aware of. We have the 2 of Swords, keeping the peace. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. We have the keeping the peace in the energies that you are aware of, and in the hidden energies, subconscious energies that you may or may not be aware of, most likely not. We have Temperance in the reverse. Okay, so Gemini, January 2026. Just looking at these 2 cards, the 2 of Swords in the upright and the Temperance in the reverse, we have literally keeping 2 ideas separate from each other. It could be compartmentalizing. You are aware of it though. So you're either keeping 2 parties apart or 2 ways of doing things within yourself apart. Compartmentalizing so that you can maintain some sort of peace in your life, in your everyday life. I can't tell right now whether you're dealing with other parties. I think at this point, I think this is just you and you. I don't see a lot of evidence of other parties here. Of course, we're always interacting with other people, but I really, at this point, I think this is some sort of internal debate that has been going on for some time now, and it's probably a bit of a stalemate. You may even think that you're at peace with these 2 competing ideas or belief systems. But in your subconscious energy, you have temperance in the reverse. And that would indicate to me that subconsciously, at least, it's bubbling up. There's some emotions there that are intemperate, that are rocky, and that if you are intellectually resigned to keeping the peace, you are not emotionally in agreement with that decision. And emotionally, I think you may be looking at I don't know if we want to call it a boiling point necessarily, but a boiling point might be what it is, and there could be some sort of I don't see any action right now, but your subconscious, it's bugging you. There's some emotional let's call it discord at this point. Okay, moving into the energy, the actual energies day to day in your past. It looks like you got the Ace of Pentacles flanked by the Four of Cups in reverse and the 10 of Cups in reverse. So in your past, pretty clear, there's an opportunity here that I think you may have missed at some point, that you may not have noticed, but it came back. So there was an opportunity in the past that it may be a fresh opportunity, but I kind of get the feeling, moreover, that it is a reassertion of an opportunity, that maybe you got a second chance at something, and this is something that is important to you, that has to do with your stability and um, long-term real life assets, resources, that sort of thing. Could be money, it could be time, could be any sort of resource that you value. Something that you may have thought. I'm kind of thinking about like people who have a chance to go back to school a little bit later in life. They never really thought that they could, and here it is. So it looks like something may have presented itself, but there is a bit of fear here, or at least if it's not outright fear, there are some considerations because it's going to affect more than you. So this renewal of an opportunity does have a wider, let's call it, field of um, emotional impact, because that 10 of Cups in reverse there, that's a feeling of upsetting and otherwise happy family situation. So there's some shared happiness here that is going to be affected. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be affected negatively at this point, but I think in the past, at least, you did some emotional, or are still looking at doing some emotional balancing on whether you're going to take that risk or not. And that makes a lot of sense. That's why you have the two competing in this Two of Swords. That makes a lot of sense. That's why you have the two competing ideas, ways of doing things, belief systems. So it might be quite a structural change that you're looking at. And again, it affects your long-term happiness in a shared format, and it can cause some upset, some emotional upheaval, or at least what's the word I'm looking for? Before something can balance out, when there's change involved, there is a period of time of fluctuation. So I think that's the main concern there. The center of this spread is the Nine of Cups in the upright. So that's really, I'm hearing that that's really what your goal here is to reflect, to reflect on what really makes you happy. And I think you know what it is. I think you're on the right track. I think you've got a good handle on that for yourself. It's more of a question of, because again, this nine in your current energies, this 9 of Cups, personal satisfaction, is flanked by the 8 of Swords, which is a feeling of trapped, a feeling of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Um, the power is the power is in your hands. It's just how you're logically organizing it in your head. And there's some confusion. That nine is flanked both by the 8 of Swords, and on the waxing we have the 7 of Cups. Confusion, choices. And again, every time we get a little pullback from this Ace of Pentacles, something that is an opportunity, and it looks to be a good one, and a good one that you might have passed up in the past, coming back to represent itself. It looks like this is really a question of logistics. I think it's something that you want to do, but you're not sure how you're going to do it. And doing it would require some real world reorganization, your thoughts, your priorities, and other people, and your relationships are all going to be affected by this. Okay, big new year for you. New year, new Gemini, new goals. 2026 is we're coming off of 2025, which was, if you, I don't know if you follow the Oriental Chinese zodiac, but it is the year we're coming off a snake year, which is if you think of snake shedding, which is an ending year, a 9 year, again, a year of reflection and shedding and change. Morphing comes to mind, the word morphing. We're now in a 1 year, which is brand new, which is like the Fool in tarot. Sort of, actually, I'll say the Fool, coming off of the Fool, it's almost more of a magician, a 1 year. And it's also the year of the horse, and it's also one layer deeper, it's the fire horse. So that's all about where 2025 was reflection, alchemizing all of the lessons learned, a slow year of molting and personal transformation. We now are in the horse is now ready to bolt from the barn, and it's on fire. So there'll be a lot of movement in this year, this year coming up for everybody, not just the air signs. Air signs are also the second fastest moving sign in the zodiac. So you're probably just burning to go, but and you have an opportunity and you like it. And it does look to be something that will give you personal satisfaction, but you're not sure how you're going to pull it off. Okay, that's where we're at. Incoming energies, we have, again, reinforcing, we have the 4 of Wands in reverse. That's a feeling of home, but reverse, it's a feeling of home disrupted. Flanked by the 10 of Swords in reverse. That's the upside on that is that although there is some tough decisions about to be made, or tough decisions being made, the worst is over. It is a card of endings, but it is actually coming out of endings. I think you're going to make your decision, and it is going to have some logical. That's what I'm looking for. Loss, a feeling of loss. Some things are going to have to be dismantled that do touch your home, that do touch your feeling, your sense of home, and your sense of what's the word I'm looking for here? Stability between you and others, and so there's a feeling of tension around this, for sure, definitely tension, because you are making some big changes. You're closing out on the Queen of Pentacles. in the reverse. And that is, I think, the way I'm going to read this, that is self-care. Self-care that mm, self-care that is directed inward. Um, the Queen of Pentacles in the upright talks of nurturing yourself and others, but in the reverse here, it isn't fully functioning. Um, I think it's unresolved. I think you're going to finish off January at this point. You still got this pentacle in your hand and you haven't dropped it yet, but it's causing you to go inward and really, really, really do the math on what you really value, because getting all of these cups, all 9 of these cups of personal satisfaction, which is your goal, which is a worthy goal, obviously, is not going to be easy. It's going to come with some loss. I think the loss intellectually you're good with. I think that you can make your peace fairly easily with the intellectual side of it, but it's actually the pragmatic side of it, and also the other people involved that are going to be affected by it. I don't see any break of any kind. It's just that when you make changes like this, uh, when you make changes like this for personal reasons, for deeply personal, important reasons, that are going to affect the people that you love, family. There's definitely family cards on this table. You do well to take a pause and make sure it's really, really, really what you want, because there are consequences to other people. And I think that's where you're finishing it off. Let's get 3 cards for a Gemini for advice. It's actually a pretty clean spread. And there's no resolution because I think there's more internal work for you to do before you actually have to make any decisions. I don't see any rush here. I think you're taking your time. Okay, so 3 cards of advice, universe, for Gemini's best and highest good, and Gemini's people's best and highest good. What do we have? Ooh, we have the Knight of Wands, enthusiasm. The 7 of Swords in the upright. Okay, ooh. Okay, it just repeats. And then the 10 repeated. The 10 of Cups, again, repeated. I think this is I think this is very direct. It's telling you to maintain your enthusiasm. Don't give up quite yet, but maybe keep it to yourself. You are acting in your own best interests. You are mentally on point, but you need to be strategic. There we go. That's the fastest way I can say it. There's a need to be strategic. You might want to keep things to yourself, not in a bad way, not in a duplicitous way, but there are other people who will be upset by what you're planning. So until you have all your ducks lined up, until you know for sure what you're going to do, this is a decision this is a thought process that you should not share widely. If you have a mentor or a trusted best friend, sure, absolutely talk it out, but I wouldn't go broadcasting it quite yet, because you don't want your enthusiasm to negatively impact the people you care about. Okay, so be cautious, but keep going. All right, that's what I got for you, Gemini. That's a good way to end it. Be cautious, but keep going. Looks like you're on the right track. Okay, so that's for Gemini. We're going to move on. Again, timestamps below. I'm going to move on to Libra, which is my sign. I am a Libra sun plus a Libra rising. So I should present to most people as pretty analytical and hopefully fairly balanced. So let's go, Libra. What do we got from you? Just gonna shuffle these a couple more times. For some reason, I never use this deck, but for some reason I was drawn to this deck, and it's not my favorite deck because the pictures are so small. It's a beginner's deck that I don't know, somebody gave to me. It's kind of handy because it does have things like the alchemical symbols attached to it. So it is kind of handy, but but the pictures are really small. So sorry about that if you're following along. All right, Libra, January 2026 in the sign of Libra. What have we got coming up for you? 3 cards for past energies that are still with you. 3 cards for present and 3 cards for future energies. What's coming up? January 2026 for the sign of Libra. And the energy for the overall reading in the light is the 7 of Pentacles in the reverse. So there's been a time of assessment that is coming to a close. It looks like you're about to come to a decision, a very important decision about where you're going to invest your energy, practically speaking. And under the deck, the subconscious energy is the Hermit in the reverse. So the subconscious energies surrounding you that you may or may not be aware of is that you are not in your conscious self seems to think that you've figured it all out and you're getting ready to move on. In fact, you may be getting restless because you may be feeling held back because your subconscious self is saying, "Oh, not quite. Hang on." So it's actually, we'll have to double check that. It's either saying one or the other. It's either saying, yeah, we got to go. That's enough. Or hang on, we haven't fully alchemized all those lessons over 2025, over the year of the snake, and we're not quite ready to bolt as that fire horse 2026 year, but we'll see. In the middle of the deck, you have the Fool reversed. That's let's go, stop. So I didn't even look down at the full spread when I was saying that about the Hermit possibly being whoa, wait a second, pause, you're not quite done yet. And but I'd say that the middle of the deck, the Fool in reverse absolutely solidifies that those 2 cards back each other up. So energy from the past, we have the Page of Cups in the reverse, flanked by the 4 of Swords in the upright, and Death in the upright. Okay, so something happened. Looks like the closing of a chapter of some kind. These things usually involve another person, although I don't see another person here yet. But there is a pause here to process something. You've rested on something, and then there is a feeling of wanting to open up again. There may even be an apology. There may be a sense of shyness. Something knocked you off your orbit, changed your mind about something, or surprised you, and not in a good way, but you've taken that event, rested on it, just about ready to head off to restart and head off in another direction. There's so much assessment on this table. Wow, Libra. It's pretty, you're definitely balancing the scales before you head out. A lot of thought here. But emotionally you're getting ready to the first internal inklings that you might want to expand emotionally. But then you get smacked by death. But I don't think that's bad. I think that's uh feeling like you're not exactly sure where you're going, but you're not going back to where you were. So one chapter is closed, another one's opening up, but you can't quite see it yet. So there's hesitation, lingering hesitation from a hard lesson. I don't know what that lesson was. I'm not sure that, I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, but there was a moment in your past, a watershed moment of some sort, where a truth of some sort hit your heart, and nothing is the same afterwards. And that, having rested on it, there's a new breakthrough moment, a new sword. So you got the Three of Swords and the Ace of Swords making up that four. And you haven't quite got your legs under you, but you're not going back and you're not going to repeat the same mistake. So good for you. Good for you. Well done. Yay. Yay me. It's this could be my own reading in some ways, for sure. Okay, so moving into the current energies, we have the Fool reversed in the center of the deck. That's a new adventure on deck. You're at bat, ready to swing, but there's hesitation here. And that's flanked by the Sun in the reverse. So that's a 19. That's a higher vibration of the Hermit, which is a 9. And also flanked by the 8 of Swords in the upright. So that hesitation is coming from nostalgia, which isn't really surprising, given that you've been through something, and even though whatever it was hard, there still is also that feeling of but there were good times too. And there's a sense of limiting beliefs. With the 8 of Swords there, sometimes I read it, like in the last in Gemini's reading, it was sort of a damned if I do, damned if I don't. But here and it was with concern for other people, but here I think this is just internal for you. There are still some limiting beliefs that you need to release. And I'm going to pull some, I'll clarify that. There's still some limiting beliefs that you need to release in order to get to a point where you're actually ready to start the next phase. So let's pull 3 cards to clarify that. You get the 2 of Wands in the upright, the Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. Wow. And the 8 of Swords again. That's 2. Came up on the exact same, the clarifier came up on the same originating energy. So it's strong. And I think really it has to do with, you don't know, you are still in the active planning stage. You have the impulse, but no clear reward. The reward remains at this point too vague for you to feel safe to step out. That's why you're ready to go, but you can't see exactly where you're going. Okay, incoming energies for the month of January 2026 for Libra. We get the Moon in reverse, so that's good. That's some clarity coming anyway. And I mean, all the time that you're spending on this, all this hesitation, it must feel frustrating, but I don't actually see frustration there. I think you're handling it very well. And because of that, clarity is coming. You have a lot of competing ideas, impulses. And it may even be more than, well, it's definitely more than one competing idea in it, but it may be coming from different parties. So there's kind of a, there's like competing opportunities, competing ideas, competing passions. Um, and and closing out, most importantly at all, closing this out, you're moving from, we opened with a 4 of swords, resting, no movement at all, to active manifestation. So you're going to make the choice after much internal debate and rumination, and maybe a feeling of being trapped, actually definitely a feeling of being trapped, but it looks like inspiration is coming. And I think it's coming from your subconscious. Whenever I see these two together, it's like the answer is there, the impulse is there and waiting to come in. You just need to allow your subconscious, give it the reins a little bit, like turn your brain off, sleep on it. I find that helps. Go to bed with the problem and see if you can't wake up with the solution, because I think your subconscious already knows what you're going to do. And as soon as it finishes processing fully that event in the past that you have determined that you aren't going to be repeating, you'll be able to get your magician on, back into flow, and move things forward. Get your fool in reverse, upright, at which point he jumps off the cliff. But necessary, and also you are internally, intellectually pretty much ready. Practically speaking, you're feeling like it's overdue, and metaphysically speaking, you just have a little bit more alchemization to do. And I think you're going to hit the ground. You're going to end up hitting the ground running in a very positive way. All right, Libra, that's for you. Again, please check the timestamps below, because we are now moving on to Aquarius. So Aquarius for January 2026, 3 cards for your past energies, 3 cards for your current energies, and 3 cards for your incoming energies. 1 card for your overall conscious energy, and another card, bottom of the deck, for your subconscious energies, the energies around you that you may or may not be aware of. So let's see, what do we got here? January 2026 for Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, in your recent past, you have the 5 of Cups, the Queen of Swords, ooh, and the Knight of Wands. All right, and in your current energies, we have the 6 of Cups in the reverse, the Ace of Cups in the reverse, ooh, and Justice. Okay, Aquarius, this is a very serious reading. you're getting yourself rebalanced, and you're pretty strong about it. And in your incoming future energies, we have the 9 of Wands in the upright. Ooh, the Star, good. In the upright, and Temperance in the upright. I like how you finished that off. Aquarius is in the house. And Aquarius is not screwing around. All right. So in the overall energies, for the reading itself, the energies you're consciously operating under right now, you have the 2 of Cups. So that's lovely. That's a nice open emotional energy. This is it's called love, but I tend to think of it in terms of connection. This is where two people or two energies come together and sort of like I show you my cup, you show me yours. So there's a connective energy. There's more than one person on this table here for sure at the start. But the unconscious energy that you may or may not be aware of, most likely not aware of, is the Three of Pentacles in reverse. So that's a lack of cooperation. There's a conflict right there. Your conscious energy is quite open, but your subconscious energy is not 100% on board with whatever it is that you two, this connection, is coming together to build something. And consciously you're on board, but subconsciously you're like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. So there's a little conflict there, and that's internal within yourself. It could be showing up actually in your day-to-day life, but and it will, and it's going to if it hasn't already. But what I'm reading right here looks like the backstage of that situation that is yet to play out. Okay, so in your past, in your recent past, we have the Five of Cups flanked by the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Wands, all in the upright. So there's a disappointment here. Something that you had some aspirations for, some hope for, some positive outlook for, didn't pan out, and you see it clearly, and you have made the decision to move on with it. So you're getting enthused, possibly about this new connection. Could be a new connection here. Coming off of a disappointment, you have recognized it and saw, and you see it for what it is. So you're not mistaken. If you think somebody disappointed you in a way that they could have done better, or if your assessment of that is not the same as their assessment of the event, I would say, if I was Judge Judy, I would say I believe you. I think you think your head is on your shoulders here, and even better news is that you haven't lost your enthusiasm for getting back in the ring. Okay, that being said, don't go all fired up and fired off quite so fast. But I don't think you really are. You're just genuinely enthused that that coming off a disappointment, you have a new direction that has caught your eye and lights you up, and you're looking to pursue that. The center of the spread in your current energies is the Six of Cups in reverse, flanked by the Ace of Cups in reverse, and flanked by Justice. So that is, I think, further reflection on your past. You're not being sentimental about it, but it looks like it could be the loss of a friend. Maybe not completely, but the friendship will have been changed by this disappointment and this clear-eyed assessment that you now have on it. And so your heart is closed a little bit. Your heart is closed a little bit because you're looking for fairness. And in fact, I think you've achieved fairness. You've got balance inside yourself. And the other party, for some of you though, interestingly enough, for some of you, this is going to be a revisit. For some of you, this isn't a new connection. This is a revisit of an old disappointing connection that you're quite possibly going to be letting go of. I don't see you taking this person back without seeing real real world in the 3D change, proof of change, because you're looking to balance this out. You're looking for justice. You've been wronged. You've been wronged. You know it. You've processed it fairly. You're not looking for an apology. You're just looking to move forward. And again, some of you, you're looking to move forward within that original construct. And for others of you, it will be a brand new connection. But either way, based on what happened in the past, there's some hesitation to invest. So you're sort of at the threshold, whether it's the old person or a new person. And by person, I also mean it could be a situation, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be a friendship, could be a job, but there's either a new investment or a reinvestment on deck. But you've learned your lesson, having been burned in the past, and you're just in a sort of a holding pattern. No, you're not in a holding pattern. You're at the threshold, waiting to see, see. The incoming energies, we have the 9 of Wands in the upright, flanked by the Star and Temperance, all upright. This is beautiful. I love this. Aquarius, you're gonna find near the end of January 2026 that although you've taken some hard knocks, this is literally the card before it is the 8 of Wands, which is a card of abundance, among other things. But in some decks, it's actually named abundance. So this is literally the wounded warrior. You can see he's got a bandage on his head that indicates a psychic wound. Or damage to your understanding, but not just knowledge understanding, not just your. Sometimes this psychic wound is the type of wound that takes a really long time to understand because words do not suffice. So you've taken a hit, but you're still standing. You've got your abundance, and you're still willing to fight. So good on you, Aquarius. That's very impressive. But it also comes with the energy attached to it of the Star. So that's hope, new or renewed, a new goal, or a renewed goal with a new luster. And Temperance, which is the blending of two energies, whether internally or externally with another party. This is a beautiful card that mirrors the overall conscious energy for the deck, that 2 of Cups. And this is a higher vibration that is not directly to this one, but it certainly is mirrored in it, and it tells the story down the road. A little bit down the road, you have the emotional blending of the two. These two are still separate. I show you my cup, you show me yours. Here, there's blending into two things come together to make a third that is greater than the sum of its parts, is the overall alchemical or metaphysical lesson of the Temperance card. And it's balanced. We have you open with clear thinking with our Queen of Swords, Aquarius, and you finish with clear emotional balance with Temperance. So I see you moving forward with this commitment, or pardon me, with this connection. For some of you, again, that will be a brand new connection. For many of you, it will be a renewal of the connection that caused disappointment in your recent past. But the resolution looks really good. And I think you are pivotal in that resolution, and using your Aquarius abilities to seek, and achieve harmony for everyone is going to pay off. So good on you. All right, so that's what I got for you. Hope this helps, and thank you for coming. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.